Seattle Mariners and the Seattle Seahawks. Puget Sound in the background. This is the Kingdome, and tonight it'll be shaken as the AMA Supercross comes to town. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pacific Northwest. Dave Despain with Larry Myers and ESPN Camel Supercross coverage. And what a difference a year makes. We come here for round 4 of this series. A year ago at this time, the Honda teammates, Jean-Michel Bayle and Jeff Stanton, had won every race. The best Damon Bradshaw had done was 3rd. This year, Bradshaw comes in on a 2-race win streak. And Larry, the Honda guys are still trying to figure out where they move Victory Circle.
They're turning left after the finish line jump instead of right. Actually, they found Winner's Circle. They just haven't found the #1 spot. They've not figured out how to get on top. 3 distinct stories there, I think. Jeff Stanton, a 2-time Supercross champion, lacks the vim, the vigor, the fire that it's going to take to put himself just that extra notch, elevate himself into the winner's circle. Jean-Michel Bayle, I don't know what to think. Jean-Michel Bayle is going road racing next year. Jean-Michel Bayle is still smooth, he's still fast, but we may be seeing the best that Jean-Michel Bayle is going to give us. He may be riding to stay out of trouble. Damon Bradshaw, the 3rd story, what can you say? How about domination?
I think that pretty well sums it up. And indeed, Damon Bradshaw is very much in the mind of the 3rd member of our telecast team. Let's go to the floor of the Kingdome and hear from the Hurricane, Bob Hanna.
We're only 3 races into the 92 Supercross Series. A little early to be drawing any big conclusions, but the momentum clearly belongs to Damon Bradshaw. It's not that he's won 2 out of 3 races, it's the way he's won them. Runaway victories. You see, Supercross is a head game. Mental preparation is as important as physical training or even riding the bike itself. So when Damon blows off guys like Jean-Michel Bayle or Jeff Stanton, it not only strengthens his mind, but weakens the rest of the field. The momentum is on Damon's side. And if his rivals want to win this championship, they need to beat him convincingly. They need to beat him now. And if they can't do that, it won't be long before the momentum spells championship.
All right, thank you very much, Bob Hanna. Now, Larry Myers, let's take a look at this Kingdome battleground.
Well, we've mounted the Isuzu bike cam on Todd DeHoop's Tough Racing Suzuki. Todd's going to show us what it looks like from a rider's point of view.
Well, in the main event, you'll see a gate for a starting area, Larry, but however you start this thing, it's a drag race down to the first turn.
And you get out of that first corner, then things start to get hairy and hectic. Already you're into some of the rougher parts of the racetrack. Now, that was a tabletop jump. You see him now flying through a series of jumps. Dave, if a guy will jump over the top of 2 of them, then they'll call that a double. If he nails 3 of them, they'll call it a triple. Then into the corners, everything is off camber on this racetrack. It makes it hard to keep your balance and stay upright.
So how do you make up your mind whether it should be a double or a triple?
I guess that depends on how brave you are or how brave you feel at that particular time. I can tell you this, for me, they're all singles or rollovers. That's what I would call them.
One of the unique aspects of Supercross, the track actually crosses over itself. There's been a fair amount of discussion about track difficulty this year. Some people would argue that the tracks have been too easy, and that's one of the reasons that Damon Bradshaw is doing so well. I'm not sure I buy that, and it certainly looks tough enough for me. As up onto the rail goes Todd DeHoop, makes the final series of whoop-de-doos, and this is really the degree of difficulty factor.
Boy, it is, and those whoops are tough.
We're going to be back with all of the action from Seattle Kingdome right after this. Welcome back to the Seattle Kingdome. 2-time champ Jeff Stanton preparing for the first of the heat races tonight. There are 2. We'll show you the highlights. This is how the riders make their way to the main event. And the first of those heat races is jam-packed with stars. Number 2 is Stanton about mid-screen right there. And he's going to be up against the defending series champion, Jean-Michel Bayle, number 1, the Frenchman who came here and stole the title away from all the Americans in 1991. There is a significant amount of sentiment in the pits. The guys really want to beat Bayle. Everybody wants to win the heat race. There's a couple of $1,000 bonus if you can win the fastest heat and the main event. You're just about ready to go. top of the gate, charge to turn 1, and how about number 35, Sean Kalos? Having himself a pretty good season this year, Larry.
He is. For the past couple of years, Sean Kalos has either been in Europe or seems like he's been injured, but he's come back to the States now, and he says, I want to ride here full term. I'm not going back to Europe. I want to do as well as I can, see what I'm made of. And I've got to tell you, Dave, I'm impressed with Kalos. He's doing well.
Well, he's going to have his hands full right here because, look, he's got number 2 Stanton blasted off the berms right behind him. And if Stanton had a rear-view mirror, it would be filled with Jean-Michel Bale. So the two men who dominated last season are right behind Kalos. As they head up through the whoop-de-doos, you get a glimpse of Guy Cooper back there on a Suzuki running in 4th spot. And there goes Stanton to the inside, and that didn't take long, did it?
Now, Kalos drifted a little wide. He just, he made a poor choice in lines, and he left that inside groove, and there was a big rail there. Stanton just hooked up in and said, goodbye, I'm gone.
Let's see if Bale will quickly do the same thing as Stanton moves into the lead. The enigma of this 92 season thus far. Everybody is wondering, where is the fire that Stanton has shown in the past? You get glimpses of Bale, but he is not attacking Kalos as yet, and so Stanton is your leader. Kalos is second, and Bale is third. Remember that the top 4 advance out of the heats and go directly into the main event. They avoid the need to ride the semi.
You might point out, Dave, that the better a rider finishes in his heat race, the earlier selection he gets on the gate. Now, there'll be 2 heat races, as you said. The guy that turns the fastest time will get the number 1 pick on the gate. The rider that wins the other heat race gets the number 2 pick, and then we go back to the number 3 pick. Oh, and look at there. Bale is having all kinds of problems. He's not going to get a pick at all if he doesn't straighten that out. Look at this. He just comes through the whoops in a completely different line and lost his sync. The motorcycle went up in the air. The front end did. He got on the gas at the wrong time. What a miraculous save the guy made. Now, that tells you a lot about Jean-Michel Bale.
Definitely.
That was great.
Definitely did a nice job in salvaging that and held on, as you can see, to 3rd spot. Did not lose position. Did very well have come off that motorcycle.
Yeah, there was a lot more at stake than position there, too.
And usually he's so smooth. That's one. It's interesting to see Bale make that kind of mistake. So he is still trying to pressure Kalos, and Sean has made an adjustment here, Larry.
He has. This is the corner where Stanton passed him. You'll see Kalos going low, takes that good line, and Bale had to go wide, and there's not enough room there to make the pass.
The line, of course, is critical in any form of racing. It's the quickest route through the corner. Sometimes it's inside, sometimes it's outside. Big triple. Fan favorite there. They like to see these guys hanging that. Oh, and Kalos bails off. He just got way too much traction coming out of the corner. Looped her over backwards, and I think we'll get another look at that. Bad break for a guy who was really doing pretty well against the Honda team.
He got the front end cocked just a little bit when he went up that first jump. There's Guy Cooper coming over it now, and when he landed, it was still cocked. And unfortunately, you can't do that.
So that enables Jeff Stanton to pull away. No pressure now for the win. He will just simply dash on to victory. Cooper, as you can see here, got close enough to Bale in the late laps to get pumped up and make a run at him, but Bale saw him coming and held him at bay. And Kalos got up off the ground in 4th spot, so he was able to hang on to the transfer position despite the crash. And up front, well, Jeff Stanton was definitely the class of the field.
Well, he was in heat race number 1. Stanton was way out in front of Jean-Michel Bale and Guy Cooper. That was the battle we just saw. And he is riding aggressively now, much more so than I think we have seen him ride in the early part of the season.
Checkered flag in heat race number 1 falls on Jeff Stanton. Perhaps it is a turning point. Jean-Michel Bale taking the 2nd spot, a Honda sweep of 1-2, reminiscent of a year ago. Cooper and Kalos take the other 2 transfer spots. All 4 going to the main. Let's go to Bob Hanna.
Fantastic ride, Jeff. Do you think that'll be an omen for the main tonight?
I sure hope so. I need to have a good race, so I just look forward to going out there and being really tough in the main and not letting anybody push me around.
Good luck in the main, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Well, he sounds pretty motivated as we go to the highlights now of heat race number 2. And a real surprise here, Brian Swink, 125 regional rider, grabs the whole shot on Suzuki number 15. He has his teammate Larry Ward, number 10, alongside for a moment, but it is Jeff EMIG, number 8, who emerges with 2nd spot. He is the Yamaha teammate of Damon Bradshaw, who, by the way, is back there in the traffic somewhere. We'll get to him in a moment. It is Swink up front with EMIG 2nd. 3rd is number 111, Stefan Everton. Look for Bradshaw. What is he, number 4, about 8? And running back there with Jeff Ward, the Supercross legend, number 6, who will retire at the end of this season. Big surprise, though, has got to be Swink.
Well, Swink is an East Coast regional 125cc rider. In other words, when the races are back in the East, then Swink is going to ride a 125cc motorcycle. It's as simple as that. But when they come to the West Coast, you're going to let him cut his teeth on the 250s. This is actually his second outing on the 250 machines, and the first one was very unimpressive, and this one completely the opposite. I'm impressed with the way this young man is riding that 250.
He's got some of the best guys in the Supercross series behind him right now, and doesn't appear to be having much problem keeping him there. EMIG is in a battle with Swink's nominal teammate, another Suzuki rider, number 111, Stefan Everts, the European kid who some feel may be following in the steps of Jean-Michel Bayle by making his move to race in America. There is Everts. Here is Swink, the leader. You see the gap back to EMIG. EMIG known for his hole shot. Big question, big surprise is Damon Bradshaw, who for all of his dominance of main events this year has been very inconsistent in the qualifiers. And if we watch this battle up front, you still don't get many glimpses of Damon Bradshaw. He's back there in about 6th or 7th spot and not able to make any kind of a move. Larry Ward, number 10, coming into 4th spot. That is the transfer position, and it is a far cry from a couple of years ago when he won the Kingdome race right here in front of his hometown crowd. It was his only Supercross victory, and they all went crazy. If Swink pulls off the win here tonight, it'll be as big a surprise as that was 2 years ago.
I think so, although it will not be quite as popular. Obviously, a record crowd here tonight, over 44,000 people, and they all want to see Larry Ward win. I don't think they'd settle for Brian Swink taking home that checkered flag, but I'll bet you if you're Team Suzuki, you'd love it.
Well, you see number 10 back there in 4th spot. Larry Ward, that's as far as he's going to get here as Swink just continues to set sail up front. Look at Ward trying a different line. Give him credit. He's trying to come up with a way around the 3rd place man Everett, but there's just nothing there. And right now, Larry Ward is a frustrated man. He's got 44,000 people who came out to see him win. He's sitting there in 4th place. He's not happy. Everts now makes a move. He says, I'm not going to wait for Ward to be the hero. I'm going around EMIG, and watch what happens right here. EMIG tries to retaliate, has the inside line, and managed to get the thing kicked out of gear, and Larry Ward comes streaking right by, and now it's the battle for second, and it's a good one.
It is indeed. The 125cc world champ is rider number 11 from Belgium. That's Stefan Everts. Right behind him, the local favorite, Larry Ward. Everts, you mentioned maybe following in the footsteps of Jean-Michel Bayle. This is exactly the way Bayle did it a few years ago. Came to the United States to ride just a few races, then goes back to Europe to win the world championship, and that's what Stefan has in mind.
And who knows what the future might be for this kid, Brian Swink, if he continues to impress the way he has tonight. Local Michigan rider, turns pro, goes off, races the big guys, goes into the 125 class because that's the training ground, wins there, but in his first appearance in the 250 class here, he's running with all the big guys, and he's got them all behind him. Ward, inspired, tries to make the move on Everett. It's an all-Suzuki show up front as they've got the top 3 spots. Everts knows the Supercross game. He holds the good line and keeps Ward at bay.
And that's surprising, Dave, because he has not ridden that much Supercross.
Up and over for the checkered flag. Brian Swink whips the 250 guys, wins his first heat race in the big boy class, and Everts continues to impress as he takes 2nd spot. Larry Ward 3rd, Jeff EMIG 4th, rounding out the transfers. Let's go to Bob Hanna and see what Swink has to say about his debut.
Brian, you've won a lot of 125 races. How's it feel to win your major 250 class?
Great. You know, I only rode 250 last weekend, had some bad luck, so I had a lot to prove coming here this weekend. I hope to get the start and do well in the main.
You had some fantastic riders behind you. Did it put the pressure on you?
Well, at first second, I started making some mistakes, and I tried relaxing and getting away from them. I got a little gap, and then just cruised.
Good luck in the main, Brian.
Thanks a lot.
So Swink joins Jeff Stanton as the heat race winner. Good night for the guys from Michigan. Guy Cooper in the background coming over to give Swink some advice. But don't get excited. Save your best stuff for the main event. We'll be back with the semis right after this. In the Kingdome Supercross semifinals, a lot of big names still to qualify, including Damon Bradshaw. He'll be in the 2nd semi as we check out the highlights of semi number 1. Household name Gene Newmack, number 28, jumps out front. Brooksville, Florida rider, got everybody behind him for about the first 30 yards. But then look at the charge coming behind him. The big guys in this one include number 12, the Dr. Doug Dubach on the factory Yamaha, putting the pressure on Newmack. You'll also see number 20, Eric Kehoe, who had a great ride a week ago at Anaheim. And look for number 3, Mike Kudrowski, one of the factory Kawasaki. So some heavy-duty talent here, stacked up in a tight 6-way battle for the lead.
You know, Numac goes on to win this event and qualify for the main event, Dave, the semifinal. The thing I like is he keeps looking over his shoulder like, what am I doing here? How come these guys are behind me? But he does a great job, holds the lead, and will take the win. Dubach puts all the pressure in the world on, but he's not going to get around Numac.
Let me make one point here. This is not the first time we've seen Numac up front. What's different about this semifinal is that he stays up front. Gene's a great starter, but he doesn't have the experience of guys like Dubach behind him, and so typically a mistake here, a mistake there, and he slid back into the pack. But like everybody else in this game, as you pile up the experience, doggone it, the performances don't start to follow, and this is the best ever for Gene Numac. He has number 12, Doug Dubach, behind him. Dubach's been plagued by crashes in the last couple of races. We've seen more of him on the ground than on his wheels, and he's hoping that tonight that story will be different. Numac out front and Saylor. And Kudrowski, probably the big question mark in this one. He has been a strong contender. As you can see, number 3 is back there in 5th spot, and that is barely good enough for a transfer. He's going to have terrible starting positions for the main event.
He certainly is. He's going to pick about 18th or so on the gate, and that's going to put him way to the outside, one side or another, and that's not a good place to go at all. I believe that's Fred Andrews that is right in front of him, and he takes an inside line. Kudrowski tries to wind it up on the outside, gets some kind of a drive, and he did. He pulls alongside Andrews. He'll make the pass, and he'll take over the number 4 position, and that's a little bit more secure. At least you can breathe easy and say, you know, I've got this one made if I keep it upright.
We talked about when do you double, when do you triple. You noticed there that Kudrowski was double jumping, Andrews was single jumping, and if you do that long enough, eventually the guy doing the doubles will end up faster. Dubach holds on to 2nd, Kehoe running 3rd, and in the wide shots you can see the crowd back there. 4th consecutive record in the season thus far. They've had 4 races, and every one of them has drawn a record crowd. That's good for the future of Supercross, and great for Gene Numac, who loves winning in front of that many people.
I think he's looking. He's got a sign on his back that says sponsor wanted. Maybe someone out there, as he takes the checkered flag in this semi, someone out there would be happy to contribute to his cause.
Going to get a chance to hear from this guy in a moment as Dubach comes home 2nd. Earthquake takes 3rd. Kehoe, the 3rd place finisher. Kudrowski is 4th. Trampus Parker gets the last transfer. And let's go trackside and hear from Gene Numac.
Fantastic ride, Gene. Whole shot in the semi, whole shot in the qualifier, and led the semi from start to finish. What do you think about the main?
I'm feeling real good. Hasn't been too good of a start. Didn't get much practice. My mechanic had to switch motors from practice bike to race bike. But feel pretty confident. Hope to get up there, at least break the top 10, and if not, run up there to the big boys, the top 5.
Good luck tonight.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
He's out of breath. It's hard work beating the big guys. Mike LaRocco won the series opener at Orlando. He's in the semifinal. Damon Bradshaw has won everything since. He's in the semifinal. What's going on with these men anyway? On Damon's right, you have Brian Luna, the mechanic on that Yamaha, and one of the real masters at building the motorcycle. A couple of other big guns in here, Jeff Matasevich and Jeff Ward. A lot of guys struggling in the Kingdome tonight. They've got to be top 5 or better to make the main event. Goggles go on, and the engines begin to rev up, and we're just about set for what I think, Larry's going to be a pretty high-pressure race for these guys.
It certainly is a high-pressure race. You do it now or you take a bus home, but you don't want to wait for the last chance qualifier. Out of that, we only take 1 rider, or 2 riders, rather, and that's no way to go.
Gate drops, charge to turn 1, and it's Jeff Ward alongside Damon Bradshaw, the 30-year-old Kawasaki rider and the 19-year-old Yamaha star who has dominated this series thus far, and they are going to be 1-2 into the first lap.
Look at Jeff Ward. He's announced his retirement. He says, I'm through with competitive Supercross. It's getting to be too much of a hassle. The training, going to the races week after week after week. Now, I ask you, does he look like a man who's tired? Does he look like a guy that ought to be stepping down, Dave?
Heck no, when you're out front, I think you ought to race forever. And as a matter of fact, Ward periodically hedges. He said, hey, if I go out and win a championship this year, maybe I'll keep racing.
I think that has a lot to do with what kind of bonus money might be available to Jeff Ward next year.
Say a car racing career is in his future. He has indicated an interest in the Indy Lights competition. Damon Bradshaw is thinking nothing but motorcycle competition right now. Number 4 with back-to-back victories at Anaheim Stadium and the Houston Astrodome. Took the series point lead last week and is now chasing Ward. But again, this issue of inconsistency, Larry. He wins the main events big, but periodically has struggled in the qualifiers. What's that all about?
Well, it's still too early in the season, event number 4, to draw kind of a conclusion, or any kind of a conclusion, rather, as to what Damon's thoughts might be when he gets into the race. But my guess is he's really not all that concerned with qualifying in terms of, I have to go to the front immediately. I think he's rather bide his time. I think he wants to play it a little bit safe and sound, make it into the main event, and then save it all and make his move. That's one explanation, Dave, and that's the one I'm going to give you. That's the one we're stuck with for the time being.
Well, that is certainly, the facts seem to reflect that. Bradshaw, not typically a conservative rider, has had a couple of opportunities here to blitz by Ward, and in both cases he said, no, I'll just wait for it. Again, the difference between first and, whoa, here he goes. Here's the blitz. Saw the opening. Ward, he may be getting tired. He just left that door wide open.
Could be. I don't know. You know, Bradshaw had a clean shot, and he took it. He went by on the inside, no contact. And I'll tell you what is lacking in this year's riding from all of the riders. We're not seeing the rough and tumble supercross that we've seen the past couple of years. We're not seeing a lot of body contact. The going up and pinning a rider against the bales, the block passing has been rather minimal. And I don't know if the AMA has threatened them with huge fines, threatened them with suspensions, or if team managers have said, look, this is the early part of the season, let's take it easy. I really cannot offer an explanation except to tell you that it's not as aggressive as we watched Jeff Matasevich work through the pack, not as aggressive as it has been in past seasons.
That was Matasevich taking third from Mickey Diamond, who deserves a call. He had been third through most of the race. Mickey, number 819. Speaking of retirement, he has come out of retirement to ride some supercross early in the season, and then will go off to be Trampus Parker's teammate in the quest for the 250 World Championship. So Diamond is out of retirement. Damon Bradshaw out front, one of those guys you talked about, known for aggressive passes. He's been a little more conservative this year. I think they've been put on notice that rough riding is not going to be tolerated this year. That leaves the teammates, number 6 Ward and Jeff Matasevich, who on a couple of occasions has been accused of unnecessary roughness on the racetrack. His reason for conservative riding this year is very clear. He broke his femur just 6 months ago. The doctors told him a year and a half to recover. He said nothing doing. And look at this, Matasevich, in what I think is truly one of the heroic efforts of 91 and 92, is back out there, not yet up to full speed, but looking pretty good. Bradshaw looking spectacular as always at the finish line as he takes the win over Jeff Ward. Matasevich, Diamond, LaRocco round out the qualifiers. Maybe Bob Hanna can find out what Bradshaw is doing in the semi.
Damon Bradshaw, it's not often we see 4 factory riders in the second semi. What's the problem?
Well, when you got a racetrack like this, it's one line. That's what happens. You know, you get the slower guys that get a good start, and it makes it difficult for the better riders. You know, fortunately, I was able to make it, but it's what you got to deal with when you got a racetrack like this.
What will be the problem in the main with a 10th place start? Do you think you can make the main and win it overall with 10th?
It'd be tough. You know, I feel really good tonight. You're just going to have to ride aggressive and possibly pay a fine after the race, but if that's what it takes to win, that's what I'm going to do.
There'll be a little bumping?
Definitely.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
What were you saying, Larry, a minute ago about rough riding? Let's look at a highlight here from the last chance qualifier. A highlight indeed for Ronnie Tishner. Another Florida guy does well, like Numac. And Ronnie's finding this an especially gratifying performance, coming off a broken hand that he suffered during the international supercross campaign. He has tuned up for this down in Florida and then came out to ride his first supercross tonight. Won the last chance over number 36, Jeremy Buell, East Coast 125 rider, also riding the 250 class tonight. We'll be back with the 125 championship main event after this time out. Dave Mustaine with Larry Myers and Bob Hanna. The first of 2 main events tonight. We're going to show you the highlights from the 125 Western Regional Championship point payer here. And let's set it up by looking at the stars coming in. The point standings show Jeremy McGrath on top. Won last week at Anaheim over his teammate Buddy Antonez, who was second. Wiggins, Flowers, and Boland rounding out the top 5 in the points as they come into this feature event that will pay points toward that Western Regional Championship. The guy to watch for will be number 1, McGrath, and you'd better look quickly because he will jump out front here and absolutely disappear. This is a riding clinic by the reigning champion. His teammate in that second spot, Buddy Antonez, gets bumped back into the pack. And now let's watch it. There is McGrath, and that is the style that carries him to a runaway victory here. This was a battle back in about third or fourth spot throughout the race. Antonez got second and never let go. Here's the story. Number 46 is Lance Smale, and number 69 is Kyle Lewis, and that's the race. See the different lines? Smale takes the bottom. Lewis rails around the top, blasts the hay bale out of the way, and says, I got to get around this guy, dives underneath, and fixes the position. Good job.
Well, one of the things that I like about 125s, David, you never know where they're going or what they're going to do. These are the youngsters, you know, they're trying to make a name for themselves. Actually, some of them are trying to determine whether or not supercross is a way they can make a living or whether they want to make a living. Just like that. Look at Lance Smale. I think he just found out that if I'm going to make my living this way, that's not the way I want to do it. I want to keep it on two wheels. We need to go back and take one more look at that. Now watch Lance. He just kind of gets on the gas at the wrong time, shifts the weight the wrong way, and the more experienced rider may have saved that, but Lance just went over the handlebar, plants his face into that berm instead of the wheels, gets right back up, though, never even lost the position.
McGrath, meanwhile, maintaining his dominance out front, and with that, the focus shifts to the battle for fourth place. Smale, perhaps hurting a little bit, comes under pressure from factory Phil Lawrence, going up around the outside. Again, the Kyle Lewis maneuver. Take the high line, try to set it up on the bottom. Is he going to get there this time? Well, a little bit of a collision, and look, the big beneficiary of that is number 135, Dana Wiggins, third ranked in the points, and he was in the right spot at the right time.
You know what I mean about the 125s? They're just all over the racetrack. They bounce, they rebound. Look at Smale's coming right back. He doesn't know that once you pass, you're supposed to stay back there, evidently.
He's not going to lay down and quit for anybody, as he is now in the fourth position. Remember, this is a three-way fight. Fourth, fifth, and sixth at issue. Correct my call. Actually, factory Phil Lawrence is fourth. Smale is fifth, and he's under pressure from number 135, Dana Wiggins, who is in sixth spot. And the points are the issue. One position is worth a couple of points in the championship standings, so it's worth getting in there and digging. Number 27 comes into view, Tyson Boland, and as he comes blitzing through this traffic, I want to tell you a story. What kind of courage does it take to make passes like this on this kind of a racetrack? Tyson Boland and Jeff Hicks were at European Supercross, went to a bank after the race to get their money. This is number 27 we're talking about. Watch the path. The guy's got some courage. Bank robbers walked in with guns and were sticking up the bank. It's a true story. So how did Tyson Boland react? He said, Hicks, let's jump them. We can take these guys. Hicks said, you are crazy. Grabbed him by the arm. End of the story is Boland did not become a hero in Italy, but he did live
to ride Supercross another day.
And fortunately so. Meanwhile, the leader out front, Jeremy McGrath, is gone. The would-be hero of the Italian bank robbery story finally met his match in Lance Smale. These guys had a heck of a battle, and it held them up a little bit. You're going to get a glimpse of a kid by the name of Damon Huffman here in a moment, who proved to be the better of both of these guys. Here is the pass as Boland comes up the inside, gets the better line through the jump, puts Smale away, and they are en route to 6th and 7th place, respectively, in the main event, but it was really the best battle of the night. And then from behind, here comes Damon Huffman to catch these guys, the yellow motorcycle. That is the Suzuki of Huffman, who is the new member of that team. He comes up, passes both of these guys, and claims 5th place, which undoubtedly makes his new employers happy. The kid is just 16 years old. Who knows? Next year, he might be the Jeremy McGrath of this 125 division.
Everyone would like to be the Jeremy McGrath. This kid has really set the Western Regional Championship Series on fire. He is number 1, defending champ. Hottest thing going on a 125 right now. Should be a great outdoor national championship series.
2 wins in a row, and for the second week in a row, Buddy Antonez comes home second, and they are teammates on the Peak Honda. So again, the boss is happy with those guys. Kyle Lewis, Phil Lawrence, and Damon Huffman rounding out the top 5. We'll take a look at the rest of the top 10. It's Boland, Smale, Wiggins, Flowers, and Neal. Let's go to Bob Hanna with the winner.
Jeremy McGrath, fantastic ride tonight and last weekend. Are you going to make a habit out of this winning?
Well, I hope so. You know, I want to make a habit of this as much as I can. You know, next year I got to ride the 250 class, a lot more stiffer competition, and you know, I just want to make the best of this year and, you know, graduate in the 250s next year.
It looks like the 125 class is not a lot of competition for you anymore. Are you looking forward to the 250 class?
Yeah, I sure am. You know, the 125 class is very good for experience and stuff, but, you know, I'm really looking forward to riding the 250.
I don't think the 250 riders are looking forward to racing against you next year. You're looking great. Good luck.
Thanks. You know, I hope they're not looking forward to it.
Tell you what, between Jeremy McGrath, the Western Regional standings leader, and Brian Swink, who's already won a 250 heat race here tonight, I think the future talent lineup is pretty impressive in the sport of Supercross. We'll be back with more from the Seattle Kingdom right after this. What we've all been waiting for. 250 main event time, the championship battle, the fourth of 16 races to crown the AMA Camel Supercross King for 1992. 30 seconds or less from the drop of the gate. And Larry, again, the question about that hole shot. Bradshaw's had 2 in a row. Can he get one tonight?
Dave, we're going to find out. That gate is about to drop.
One of the most exciting moments in motorsports, the start of a Supercross race, and sure enough, Bradshaw gets to the first turn first, and sure enough, his teammate Doug Dubach is on the ground in the first turn again. Not the first time this year. We've seen that misfortune for the doctor. This is bad news for the rest of these guys. It is number 4 Bradshaw and number 8 his teammate EMIG up front, and that means he's got a teammate between him and the rest of the pack. A look at Jean-Michel Bale, number 1, and number 3 Mike Kudrowski way back in the traffic. Cooper is 3rd. Stanton is 4th.
I think if you take a look at the lineup the way it is right now, Dave, we have Bradshaw out front, then back a ways, we're looking at Stanton and Bale. And I think we can safely say that they are the 3 fastest riders on the racetrack. So even now, if Bale and Stanton work into the number 2 position, if they ride just as fast as Bradshaw, unless Bradshaw makes a mistake, we're looking at the race right now. That's going to be it.
Cooper is trying valiantly to get around EMIG. One of the knocks on EMIG in a couple of previous races. Ooh, there's the number 2 machine coming right up alongside. Stanton is charging. And that's what he hasn't done much of. Cooper retaliating. Right. Great race.
Cooper, unbelievable. I don't know how he held on to that motorcycle. There he goes again. Cooper is all over the racetrack trying to get around anyone. I don't think he even knows who's there. He just says, there's somebody in front of me. I'm going to make the pass. Stanton is riding extremely well, but no place to go. Look at Cooper.
Once again, you've mentioned this problem before. Cooper is not only trying to get around EMIG, but he's also trying to protect himself from Stanton. Here's the kind of advice they get from their crews. Push, go for it, gas it, race, charge, do something, get around somebody. That's Mike LaRocco's dad right there. And LaRocco, of course, charged to victory in the series opener. I don't know how they see those signs when they're in the middle of this kind of a battle.
Dave, let's go back and take a look at some action earlier. Watch Guy Cooper right now. Look at this. Bam! Hits the hay bale, keeps right on going. Remember I said Damon Bradshaw out front? That's pretty much the race. Cooper knows that. Cooper wants to get around Stanton. Look at this. Here he goes. He'll do anything he can to keep Bradshaw from getting away. Now, that's what Stanton should be doing, but he's not. And Bradshaw is, he's going to be the benefactor. He's going to be gone.
And, of course, he has a teammate in Jeff EMIG, number 8, between him and all the challengers. And I guarantee you they're all going to claim that EMIG held him up. And that's the reason they couldn't catch Bradshaw.
And I'll guarantee you that EMIG is just fighting for his life, and he wants a piece of that lead just as bad as they do.
He's been having a great season. He led Orlando for a long time. Now he's back up front again. He just needs that consistency. But again, he's a youngster. He's up out of the 125 class. This is his first year on the 250. You keep Jeff Stanton behind you. I don't care what Stanton says after the race. You're doing your job.
I think it's a cutting your teeth factor. Stanton is getting the drives around the outside, the inside, looking for places to pass, and EMIG is holding him off. And that's what he's out there for. That's why Team Yamaha, Keith McCarty, wants him there. They don't expect him to win. They expect him to learn. And what better learning experience can you have than holding off the champ?
But this also, as Stanton comes up the outside, this may be it. He's got the move. He's got the line. As they come down into the left-hand current, he is out front of Jeff EMIG. Makes the move he needs to. Stanton goes into the second spot. You can see it took him about a lap of working on EMIG to get around him. That's what Bradshaw was talking about in that interview about the race.
Yeah, not to dwell on this, Dave, but Yamaha hopes, Keith McCarty, the team manager, hopes that when he was passed, when EMIG was passed, he hopes that he learned something right there, and maybe next time it won't be quite that easy.
So EMIG will try to hang on to Stanton. In the meantime, Bradshaw, for the 3rd week in a row, has broken away and is in danger of turning this race and indeed this series into a one-man show. He has just absolutely dominated in the last 2 races. We talked about the problems that he's had in the qualifiers, but when we get to the main event, he's got had no problem at all?
Well, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, Dave. Bradshaw is out front. He's all by himself, and he has a 3 or 4 second lead, depending on traffic. And if the two riders are riding equal, Bradshaw has to make some kind of a mistake for Stanton to catch him. Brian
Lunas gives him the sign. Be smooth. A 3-second lead for Damon Bradshaw. We'll be back in the Kingdom to see if he can hang on to it. Tremendous action on Speed World. Battle for third in this AMA Supercross Championship race. Jeff Emig, number 8, attacked by number 5, Guy Cooper. Cooper had an earlier altercation with Jeff Stanton that provided most of the thrills. Here's an inside move. Emig says, I'll close that door, Guy. I'm not going to leave it wide open like I did for Stanton. And so they continue, the youngster Emig and the veteran Cooper, 30 years old.
Cooper has to have ridden at least twice as far as everyone else in this racetrack. He has been all over. Look at him. He goes way up high, squirts to the inside, nowhere to go. I'll tell you, that's not going to bother Cooper a bit. He'll try anything he can looking for new lines, as he knows one rule, a cardinal rule in Supercross: you cannot pass if you follow.
44,000 people looking on and cheering for Guy Cooper as he continues his assault on Jeff Emig. And again, it's the classic kid versus the veteran. And again, it is Cooper going up to the top, and he just can't find a way around. And I tell you, after a while, it's got to get a little frustrating.
I think it definitely does get frustrating. Whoa! And it makes for that kind of a move as he just railed around the outside. He was sideways in the air, made the pass on Emig. What a move on the part of Guy Cooper. I'm just amazed that, not at the move. I'm amazed that he held on to it when he landed.
Well, you expect those young, fearless kids to make that kind of move. Cooper is fearless, but he's no kid. I must correct myself, though. He's not 30. He won't be 30 for another 3 weeks. Here is Jeff Matasevich, number 9. He is in 6th spot. Larry Ward is 7th. Whoa, not for long. Jean-Michel Bale jumps past Larry Ward, takes over that 7th spot, sets his sights on Jeff Matasevich. Bale, again, the Charger, has come from almost dead last on the first lap.
And this is on the track where riders were complaining it's hard to pass. Are you putting me on? Bale's showing him a lesson. Look at there, around the inside this time. He finds a line, and we talked about that earlier. You can't pass if you follow the guy in front of you, so Bale just goes where they aren't. What a move.
This guy does not have that problem. There's never anybody in front of him the way things have been going recently. Damon Bradshaw can have any line he wants at the Kingdom. He is out front by an interval that is pretty well stable at 5 to 6 seconds. He's not pulling away from Jeff Stanton, nor is he letting Stanton get anywhere close. Bale is the Charger, and he is charged to the rear wheel of Jeff Ward, who had a hard crash in practice tonight. In fact, skipped the lap of honor that they've had at all the stadiums to commemorate his retirement. He was definitely in doubt for the rest of the evening. He did not get out of the heat, came back, made it out of the semi. He's 5th in the main event, which is pretty decent given the injury, but he is now under a lot of pressure from Jean-Michel Bale. Look out when he gets that inside line. He's tough. He's got it. He's gone. Bale is into 5th.
Hate to keep harping on this point, but Ward thought he was coming to the inside. He looked over his shoulder, and Bale just went to the outside and blew right by him.
When his heart is in it, there is nobody quite like Jean-Michel Bale, who is now 5th and headed for the front. Emig is 3rd, and everybody's chasing Damon Bradshaw. It happened 2 weeks ago at Houston, and it's happened again here tonight. He struggled in the heats and dominated in the main. What's the story, Damon?
Well, the qualifiers and all that really, didn't go very well for me. I got some bad starts, and, in the main event, I got a start and pulled out all the stops. I rode the way I should, and, that's happened with me before. I've had bad qualifiers. In the main event, I'd be a different person, different rider, and that's what happened last week.
So, if there is any inconsistency in the performance of Damon Bradshaw this year, it has been that. Those heat race struggles, though, certainly don't show up in either the main event results or in the point standings. He is en route to his 3rd straight victory in 4 races, and he definitely is threatening to make this series a runaway. Bale chasing Emig. This was inevitable. At the rate that Bale's going, he's going to catch somebody up front. That race is for 4th. Bradshaw is the leader. The man you've not seen for a while is Jeff Stanton, all alone in 2nd. We'll be back to see if Damon can hang on. Announcers task Larry to make this exciting and dramatic and build all sorts of suspense into this race. Perhaps you can do that with this lead here that Damon Bradshaw's built.
I don't think anyone could do that unless we go back for the battle for the number 4 position. Now, this is dramatic. Jean-Michel Bale on a racetrack where they said, oh, and Bale tried to go to the inside of Emig, and he goes down, hit the hay bale. Let's take another look at it, Dave. Watch him. Oh, Now, there it is. The two riders collided. EMIG come over and took the wheel away, or rather, Bale ran into him. No place to go. Hit the hay bale, fell down. Now, he has not lost a position on the track.
Bale into the bales. Bradshaw still the leader. Here's the interval. Back to the second-place man, Jeff Stanton. He has had a pretty uneventful night since passing EMIG. I believe it was on lap 2 to get into this second spot. He'd like to get up there and do some business with Bradshaw, but there's going to be no catching him. And I got to think after some of the exchanges in the past between these two that this frustrates Stanton.
I'm sure it does, but as we pointed out, you know, we're looking at 4 to 6 seconds. Stanton is riding 100%. Bradshaw out front is riding 100%, and there just absolutely is no way that Stanton is going to catch up. Bradshaw's not making the mistakes that he has made in the past. I should say. He's riding awfully good, Dave.
This is Bale, who held on to fourth spot after the EMIG incident, and in fact got up so quickly that he is back on EMIG's tail, and EMIG in the meantime has closed up on Cooper, so this has become a three-rider battle. Now Bale looking down to the inside of EMIG again. He got in trouble doing that once before. This time he waits till after the corner and makes the pass.
Jean-Michel Bale is the smartest, the best rider in the world. I'm going to say that with no reservations, and he just proved why.
Tell Damon Bradshaw that after the race. Guy Cooper is third, and now under pressure from Jean-Michel Bale. Indeed, Bale dominated this series last year. After Stanton was injured, it had been a two-man battle up to that point. This year, both Stanton and Bale have struggled a little bit. Bale now trying to catch Cooper, while Stanton runs alone in second spot. And Cooper, after a spectacular early race, has kind of settled into a groove now, but he's about to come under pressure. He's going to have to dig back down and come up with some of those tricks.
I have to wonder, with all the pressure that was on Cooper and all of the moves that he was making. Recall, he was on the outside, he was on the inside, he was off the motorcycle, back on again. I think that probably Cooper is a mighty tired young man right now.
See if he can stand the pressure from Jean-Michel Bale. Oh, indeed, Bale just dives by, no problem at all. And I think, indeed, Cooper just wasn't a physical match for JMB in that pairing right there. So Bale is now the third-place man. And remember, he was unofficially, by our count, about 17th at the beginning of this race, officially 11th at the end of the first lap. He has charged. He has passed people.
Well, now we have a runaway in first, a runaway in second, and I don't think anyone is going to come up and challenge Bale. So we're pretty much decided on the first three positions in this one, Dave. It looks to me like it's Bradshaw, Stanton, and Bale all the way.
Well, I'm not convinced Bale can't catch Stanton. We'll find out when we come back to the Seattle Kingdom. Bale has provided most of the fireworks this evening. The defending... Whoa, wait a minute. We got Jeff Ward on the sidelines. Ward has crashed. He had been running in the top 5 early tonight after what has been already a crash-marred evening. He's been on the ground a second time. And up front, Damon Bradshaw continues to ride the Bradshaw Zephyr, headed for his third consecutive victory in the series, and a point lead that for this juncture in the series is going to be pretty impressive indeed.
I think we should point out, Dave, we had a shot of Jeff Ward's motorcycle. Now, Jeff Ward was working his way back toward the pit area, and he's not laying down beside that bale or tucked down inside the bale. He did crash and has gone down. In fact, there is Jeff Ward. Now, he's working his way back through the pits. He apparently is all right, but he did go down kind of hard.
We'll send Bob Hanna down to see if he can get a word with the former Supercross champ. In fact, the man who has broken most of the records in modern American motocross and will retire at the end of this year. And at the other end of the spectrum, the man many feel will be the record breaker of the future, 19-year-old Damon Bradshaw, headed for apparent victory here at the Kingdom. Let's go back trackside. Bob Hanna is with Jeff Ward.
Jeff Ward, obviously not your best night in Supercross racing.
No, sure wasn't, Bob. I mean, in practice, I went down real hard, put a hole in my finger, tore my knee up, my ankle. Went into the qualifier, got a bad start. I couldn't push it because I didn't feel comfortable. Semi went okay. I felt pretty good. And then the main event, I was up there running for top 5 and made one more mistake, went on the hay bale, and over the bars.
Was it a difficult track to pass on?
It was very difficult. Just one line, and they got to start making them better tracks for passing. Otherwise, it's going to be runaways every time. I mean, one guy gets between you and the leader. By the time you get by them, they got 5 seconds. The race is done.
Well, good luck next weekend. Hope you feel a little better.
I hope so too, Bob. Thanks.
He's still got a smile on his face, and that's good to see. Here is Jeff Stanton. He has not mounted a charge at Damon Bradshaw. I have the sense that he's going to settle for second spot tonight and concern himself with the points that he'll get and with trying to figure out a strategy for the rest of this season, because he knows that Damon Bradshaw is the man he's got to beat. I wonder if he doesn't remember that magazine article a year ago when Damon Bradshaw said, yeah, Jeff Stanton has to go watch me in practice to figure out where the fast lines are.
You know, when Bradshaw did that last year, he paid the price because Jeff Stanton hung the article up in the back of his truck and then promptly went out and put it to Bradshaw several races. Now, you'll notice this year, Bradshaw is not talking that way, but maybe Stanton ought to go back and reread that article. Maybe it'll inspire him a little bit.
Bradshaw has been pretty quiet, comparatively speaking, for Damon, who is not afraid to speak his mind.
Well, he's letting the Yamaha do the talking for him is what he's doing right now.
We'll be back for the finish of the Seattle Kingdom Supercross. After this timeout, Bradshaw, Stanton, Bale, Cooper, and EMIG, the top 5. Kingdom, 44,000 people are anticipating the checkered flag, which is just about a lap away. For Damon Bradshaw, he moves around Stefan Everts, putting him a lap down. Now, that's a world champion that he is passing to put him a lap down in 20 laps. That is the kind of dominance that Damon Bradshaw has demonstrated this year. Larry, I think the question has to be, when is somebody going to stop this freight train?
Well, earlier, Dave, we had addressed that particular question, and I had been making all kinds of forecasts that Stanton had not caught fire yet. Jean-Michel Bale was still coming, and I guess it's time to retract those things, because I'm looking at Bradshaw, and I'm seeing a guy that's dominating, he's full of confidence, and I don't know that anyone is going to stop him the rest of the year. This guy is unbelievable.
Hanna talked about it at the top of the show. He said those guys have got to go out and beat him if they're going to break the psychological advantage, the stranglehold that Damon Bradshaw has on this series. And the result, Bradshaw goes out and blitzes to his third straight win. He's done it again in the Kingdom. Damon Bradshaw dominates. Jeff Stanton settles for a solid second place here this evening. And as amazing as Damon Bradshaw's win streak is, the guy who dazzled me tonight was Jean-Michel Bale, coming from virtual last place on the first lap to finish third this evening. All the fans on their feet saluting the 19-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, who has led 59 of the last 60 laps in Supercross competition. Stanton second, Bale third, Cooper fourth, and EMIG rounding out the top 5. Run them down through 10. LaRocco, Matasevich, Dubach, Ward, and Kudrowski. Let's go down to the floor of the dome. Bob Hurricane Hanna with Damon Bradshaw.
Damon, 3 in a row, Houston, Anaheim, Seattle. Do you feel with this win that you are the man to beat in 92?
Well, I've been hoping that the last 3 years, and it really hadn't happened for a championship, but I feel really good this year. Everything's going good. My mechanic, Brian Lennis, all the Team Yamaha, all my sponsors, and me and my bike have been working really good together, and that means a whole lot.
You look great to us, Damon.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Bradshaw's third victory runs his point advantage to 13 over Jeff Stanton, who in turn leads Jean-Michel Bale by 3. Cooper and LaRocco are 4th and 5th. The celebration is underway. Once again, Damon Bradshaw is the star of the show. Larry Myers, your thoughts after 4 of 16 races?
Well, the obvious thought has to be, is anyone going to stop Damon Bradshaw? We've asked that question a couple of times. And the question can be answered right there. One of those two guys have to do it. They have to regroup. Can they? That's the question.
Well, we'll find out next week as the series moves on to San Diego, California. Until then, I'm Dave Despain for Larry Myers and Bob Hanna. We'll see you next week.